Hello friends, in this video we are going to develop snake and ladder game using Python language. So this is one sample which I have got, and the same sample which we are going to replicate in Python, and we are going to put all the logic like how many players should be there, as we know that snake and ladder game is a multiplayer or a game. So 1 2 3 4 5 10, as many player as we want they can play. We have to keep a record of each player, so the player should be having their own names. Then we have to maintain the record of their score also, so for each player they have to have their own scores. So we will have to use somewhere dictionaries to store the players, we will have to use list, and then we have to put up this logic also that whenever user reaches 2, his score should be changed to 23. So somebody reaches 20, then he should get a ladder and he should reach to 77. Or if a user is beaten at 86, then a snake should bite and his score should be reduced to 54, something like that. So we have to put all this logic also in this code, and we have to define the list of snakes and ladders. And one more thing, once user reaches somewhere 96, 97, 98 somewhere, then we have to make sure that the user's score should not go beyond 100. So when user is having 96, and if he gets 6 or 5, this should not add 5 here and make the score 101. No. After 96, the score will become only 100 once that person gets 1, 2, 3, 4, or if he gets 2, he can reach a 98. So this kind of conditions also we have to take care. So I have developed and tested the complete code, but for your purpose and for your learning, I'm going to do it step by step so that you are also able to learn. Before begin, do not forget to subscribe. I have lots of video going on for Python, Docker and other technology, AWS, etc. So everything we are going to learn one by one, and you can be part of this learning journey. So let's begin, directly jump into the code, and let's starting and writing our code. So first thing first, we have to roll a dice. Rolling a dice means we have to generate some kind of random number. Rolling a dice is generate random number. For that purpose, we will have to import a random module. Using this module, we will be able to generate random numbers. So whenever a user throws the dice, a random number will be generated from that dice, and that will be the score for that user. Then we will have to create a list to store all the player names. So we will store all the player names and we will keep the list empty. As of now, we are only defining the list. We are not making any logic here, or we are not putting any specific names, because names will be added during the game itself. Let's go ahead to the next step. Now we need something to have a scoreboard also, because for every player we must store the score also. So let's define something called scoreboard. Now you tell me, should this scoreboard be a list or be a variable or be a dictionary? So you can think, you can pause the video and put in the comment section. But if you are back, now let me tell you. For every player we must be having a score. So there should be a key which would be player name and the value would be their score. So that is the reason we need to create a dictionary instead of list. So dictionary is going to help us keeping the record of key and value. After that, we need to put the condition of snake and ladder also. So that condition also we need to define, snake, ladder. And we need to define it that wherever the snake or ladder is there, we can easily put the condition, like if somebody is at 2, he should be reaching 23, 20 then 77, 62 then it should be coming to 37. So something like that we must be defining here. So we can define that also in the terms of dictionary. So 2, if somebody reaches 2, then he should be reaching to 23. Okay, and since I have already developed this code earlier also, So let me simply copy paste it, otherwise it will waste a good amount of time to copy paste this one. So let me put the condition from here itself. So let's copy it and paste it here. So now it is clearly defined. You can see exactly 85 goes to 95. If 85 is there, then it goes to 95. 85, it goes to 95. If it is 97, then 97, it goes to 25. If somebody goes to 97, then it will go to 25. So it defines snake and ladder both in the single list, because ultimately what we have to do, whenever a user reaches to this value, we have to convert this value to this place, right? So the places are appended or reduced depending on the snake or ladder. So we have defined the complete condition here. Now, rolling a dice is something we will have to do multiple times. So it is always a good idea that rolling a dice is defined as a function. So let's roll the dice using the function and create a function, and this function doesn't need to do much. Only thing is that it has to find out a number which is coming here. So we can put dice number, and then we have to use our random function here. So random, whatever we have imported here, so we just need to generate a number using random dot rand init, and sorry for typing mistake, so rand int, yes, and we need to define the range also. So the range should be 1 comma 6, because a dice might have number from 1 to 6 only. It can't go beyond 6, or it can't be less than 6. So 1 to 6 is a good range which we can define. Now this number must be returned back to the caller. So we need to return this value, return dice num. Okay, this value is returned also. So I believe this rolling dice function is good enough. Now we have completed this part, and first thing we need to check from the user is how many players are going to play the game. So let's ask from the user how many players are going to play. So input number of players, enter number of players. So once this is entered, this is going to be converted into int also. We have to convert it into number because we have to loop it for every player. Every player will get its own turn to roll the dice. So we will have to loop it. So we have to ensure that once this input is there, it should be converted into int, and we should not leave it as a string or something, otherwise there will be issues in looping. There are typing mistakes, I'm correcting that. So now we have defined total number of players also, and for each player we now need to ask the name. So for player in range. So in computer programming, counting always starts from 0, but in our case counting must start from 1. So we can't say player 0, player 1, player 2 only. So if there are 3 players, it should be called player 1, 2, 3, not player 0, player 1 and player 2. So we need to make sure that we have started our count from 1 and we take it to total players. So total players would be 3. So 1 to 3 plus 1, 1 to 4, then only it will count till 1 till 3. So that's why this plus 1 needs to be added, because we are not starting the count from 0. Since we have added a number here, we should be adding a number here also. So this will make loop through each of the player count, and we will ask for each of the players name. So let's ask player name equals to input enter name of player number, and then we need to put this player value also, so that player 1, player 2, that should also be coming, and plus, and this should be here, and we can put a quote here, and we are seeing some error, which means that we have not put the string here. So now enter name of the player, then we give a space, then plus player, this player should be here, like player number 1, 2, 3, whatever is coming, and then we will give a colon and put a space so that we have a proper readable format. And I can correct this one also. So I believe we are going to get the player name for each of them, and once we get this player name, then we have to add it also to our list which we have created here. So player names list, it should be added in that. So player names dot append function, you can see Visual Studio Code, this always helps, and we are going to put here player name. So player name is going to be added in this player list, and once this is there, then we can print the name also. So let's print the name of each of the user. So let's say print welcome participants. Let's give some kind of welcome message, welcome participants, and we can put some kind of quotes, etc. Yes, and after that we can print this list, the player names list. So we can print this player names list also, and let's see, let's begin the game, and after this let's test whether our code is working or not. So let's begin the game. Now we will test the code till here. So let's save this file and let's run it. So I'm running this, okay, and player number of players are let me make the size here, okay, number of players 3. It says there is some error. What it says, can only concatenate string not integer. This is a integer value, so we need to cast this value to string. So you know that whenever we want to print a integer value within the print message or input message somewhere, then we have to convert it to string, otherwise it won't be able to print as a message. So now it should be fine, hopefully. Let's say 3 players are there. Player number 1, enter name of player number 1. So we can say player number 1 is AAA. Player number B is BBB. Player number 3 is CCC. Okay, so welcome participants AAA, BBB, CCC. Let's begin the game. So till now our code is working fine. What we have done till here, we defined a list here, scoreboard not used till now, snake and ladder, this we have defined but we have not used it. Now actual game is going to start. Now we have the players, we have their names, and now we should be starting our game. So let's write the code for the game itself. Now this game must continue indefinitely until and unless a user reaches 100. Because the user reaches 100, then only somebody wins the match or wins the game, and then only it finishes the game. So for that purpose we need to put a condition while true, which means it's an indefinite loop. It will continue to run again and again. There's no limit in this until we break it manually. So we will break it once somebody reaches user. So for now let's loop for each of the players. So every player has to get their turn to roll the dice. So for every player, and we can say player turn. So those players who is getting the turn in player names. In player names. Player names is our list. Player names is our list, and we have to loop through each of them, and then we need to ask that user to enter or do something. So we can say please hit enter, blank enter, to roll the dice. So we will say input hit enter to roll the dice, and that's it. So we doesn't need to do much, and once that user hits the enter, what we have to do, we have to roll the dice. For rolling the dice, we have already created the function, so we will simply call this function roll dice, and this will roll that. But how would we know? There is a value which is being returned, dice num. So this value must be stored somewhere. So what we can say, player turn dice num. So we will have player turn and dice num. So this value, whatever comes, the computer rolls the dice using the random function. After that it is rolled, we will store the value here, and then this value must be stored within the scoreboard. So in this scoreboard, this value must be stored. So how can we add this value in the scoreboard? We have to add it using, so one thing is that we can simply print it and we can test the code till here. The another thing is that simply you add this value into this function. So what we are going to do, scoreboard and player turn, scoreboard and player turn, sorry, scoreboard, yes. So scoreboard and then the player which has got the turn. Okay, for that we should be having the value, this one. So whatever roll dice value has come, that should be stored in scoreboard for that player turn. And what is this? This is a dictionary. Scoreboard is a dictionary. So let's try to test this part whether it is doing or not. And one more thing, for the test purpose, we will also print scoreboard. So let's try to run this one. Okay, we want two players, AA, BB. Now let's begin the game. Hit enter. So you can see AA has got 3, BB has got 4, AA has got 1, BB has got 5. Okay, now one problem is that this score is not getting added. So after 3, when it gets 1, it should not be updated. Instead it should be added. So now the total score should be 4 instead of 1. Here 4 and 4 plus 5, it total score should be 9. But then you can see that the score is getting updated but not added. And this is problem we will have to sort out. So we need to put logic to do that. So for that purpose, we have to ensure that we keep adding the score. We simply don't update the score. So scoreboard player turn should be, so whatever previous score was there, on that score this value should be added. Player turn dice num, whatever new value is coming, that should be added in that. But problem is that scoreboard player turn, this must be defined somewhere, otherwise it will give error, because this value is getting defined here, and since this value is not defined and it is not already in list, so we will have to define this value, otherwise we will get error. Let's try this just to show that, so that you understand the logic. Okay, so it's important that you understand the logic also. So let's run it. wwyyy. Now wwyyy and third user is blank. Now you see what it says, keyword key error ww, because this part is not defined anywhere. That's why we need to first define this value at the beginning of the loop itself. So whenever this loop is beginning, at that time itself we need to define this value. So, and the first score should be 0 for every player. But now there is another problem. If you make a score, so whenever the next loop will come, it will always set the score to 0, which is not good, because every time it will reset the score to 0. Whenever the next loop runs, it will make the score 0. So for that purpose, we need to protect it, that it should be adding the score or making the score 0 only if it is not defined earlier. So we need to put the condition player turn if player turn not in scoreboard dot keys. If it is not there in the scoreboard keys, then only make this value and set the 0. If there is already a value existing here, don't make it 0, otherwise player will never be able to add its score further, right? So that's why this condition is very important, that check if scoreboard keys are available here or not. If it is available, then don't do anything. If it is not available, then 0. And once it is set, then next time it will be automatically there. So there is, every time we don't need to set it, only first time we need to initialize this one. Okay, so hopefully we got it till here, and we need to add the score all the time. So let's run it again. Okay, I'm running it so that you understand the complete logic also. This program is getting lengthy, but once you understand the logic, you will see the meaning of that and what all things we are using in this code. And snake and ladder is pretty complicated game. It's not very straightforward as it looks. So let's take two players this time. So we say RR and TT. Now let's begin the game. RR is getting 5. Now TTT is also getting 5. Now RRR is getting 11. Now TTT is 5. Now TTT has also got 11. RRR 16. TTT 14. Now you see the score is improving. The score is going into next stage. It is getting added. One thing also very important, we need to print also that whatever score is coming here, this value, this value we need to print somewhere. If we don't print it, then a user will not able to come to know that what is his score. So we need to print this score also. This is very important. So let's print the score, and we can say print. We need to enter the player name also. So we can say player turn plus got dice, player turn dice got, and then we need to put the score here. So what is the score here? Plus player dice num. Now one more thing you have to remember, that we need to convert it into string, otherwise it won't be able to print. So let's put it here and make it string. And player turn is already string, so we don't need to convert it, hopefully, and this should work. Now we should be able to see what exactly is the score also. Now what else we need to do? We haven't put the condition for the snake and ladder also, because once the score increases 5, 10, 11, and as we know here, once the score reaches 2, it should convert to 23. A score reaches to 20, it should make 77, or 97 to 25. So something like that should also happen. For that purpose, we need to put the logic also. And also one more thing we need to take care, that while it is adding again and again, the score should not go to beyond 100 also. The score should always be less than 100. So for that purpose, we have to make sure that before we add this number, we have to make sure that the scoreboard, if scoreboard for that player, player turn plus player turn dice number, means this one, this value, if it is goes beyond, if it is less than or equals to 100, then only this value has to be added. Otherwise, if it is beyond 100 or it is already 100, then it should not be doing this addition. So scoreboard for player turn should be updated only if his score is less than or equals to 100. It should not be updated if it is more than 100. And then we can print this value, because now dice got this, and then we print the total value also, a total score. So that should be modified and we can print the scoreboard. So this is already being printed here, scoreboard. Now snake and ladder logic also need to be applied here. So before printing the scoreboard, we need to make sure that we apply the snake and ladder logic also. So for that purpose, for snake and ladder logic is defined here. So these are the key values pair. So we need to compare the key values for SL keys. We can take any name. So what I am saying, the snake ladder keys and snake ladder values, snake ladder values. So what I am doing, I'm making this SL keys and this is SL values. So key value. So I'm putting as snake ladder keys and snake ladder values in short form in snake ladder dot items. If this value already exists in snake ladder items, then we have to put the quote here also, colon. Then we have to modify the keys and values. So if a scoreboard player turn, if scoreboard and player turn equals to SL keys, then we have to modify the update. So scoreboard player turn, whatever player is playing the game, for him the scoreboard is there, and if this SL keys and values are already there in the item, where snake ladder item. So SL keys and SL values, snake ladder items, they are available in this snake ladder item, then this player scoreboard will be modified with SL values only if scoreboard player turn equals to SL keys. If player turns scoreboard matches with SL keys, then modify the value and what does this value should be? Then this value should be turned into whatever the value should be after getting the ladder or getting the snake. So what we are doing here simply that try to see if the scoreboard for any player matches with any of these values 2, 8, 20, 32. These are keys. 2, 8, 20, 32, 41. These are keys. If it matches these keys, then change the value to 79 or 32 to 68, 20 to 77. So if these keys matches, turn the value to this value. So that's what we are trying to do this logic. So here we are trying to loop through this complete list, trying to match. If a scoreboard player turn equals to SL keys, is it matching somewhere? If it is matching, then change the value to this. And then after that, we can print the scoreboard. Also, we need to make sure that if somebody's score has already reached 100, then in that case, so we are coming out of this loop and then we are saying that if scoreboard, this indentation should be correct. So if a scoreboard for any player who is looping through has reached 100, then in that case that player should be declared as winner. So we can say print some message Congratulations. And we have to put the player's name also so that we know who is that player. So we can say player turn, and then we can print this player has won the game. So this message should be there, and after that message we should be quitting the game. So this game should be done. At this stage the game should be finished. So hopefully we have covered all the logic. Let's try to test it, and if it works fine, then that's okay. Otherwise we will modify the logic somewhere if it is needed. Okay, as of now we can test the code. So let's run it. Now it says there are some syntax issues. Okay, we missed the colon. So what it says that this part there should be colon, so which is true. Now let's try to play. Now let's play the game with 3 players, and player number 1 is called Sam, player number 2 is called Mike, player number 3 is called Tyson. So Tyson, and so Sam, Mike, Tyson. You can see this value got stored where? In this player names list. Why got it stored? Because at every loop we added this value into player names and we appended it here, right? So hopefully you understand the logic till here. Now it has come into, after doing this we got this message, and after that we started looping through. It is an indefinite loop. This game is going to be played until somebody wins. And now it says for player 1 not in scoreboard, then we will set the scoreboard to 0. Then after that we will say hit enter the roll. Now it is asking hit enter to roll the dice. Let's enter. Sam got 5. Now Mike got 4. Then Tyson got 4. Then Sam got 1. So what says Sam dice got 1, and previous score was 5, so it added and make it 6. Great, it's working till now fine. Now we are getting Mike got 1, so previous score was 4, 4 plus 1 5, it's working perfectly fine. Now 4 plus 3 7. Okay, great, till now it's going good. 7 7 9, then again it 5, then 12. Great, let's loop through until we see, yeah, now you see Tyson jumped from 18 to 77. Why? Because Tyson got 18, his dice got 2, so 18 and plus 2 became 20. And you can see that it checks all the time SL keys and SL values in snake ladder items and sees that if it is 20, then let's see what happens if it's 20. Yes, so if it is 20, then it will change the value to 77. You can see that scoreboard player turn will change to SL values. So if we are looping through, we find that this score is already matching to any of the keys here, it will change the value, and it will change the value as per the value provided in this dictionary. And this dictionary we have made based on this snake and ladder. Okay, so now let's go. Let's see who wins the game. Okay, congratulations, Tyson won the game. So Tyson got 81, and then after that Tyson got 1. So 81 plus 1 became 82, and we know that 82 is something already goes into finish. So whoever goes to 82, he reaches the game and he finishes the game, and it ends here. So that person won the game. Okay, so I believe you have understood the complete logic. This is little complex, but you can understand a lot of concepts for Python. You understood what is a list, how to define variable, how to cast the string. So everything you got run, how to use the modules, how to generate random values. Everything you have learned in this single video. In this single video you have learned. So I believe this is going to make sure you can use this code. I will provide it in my repository also. So that also you can do, but it is clearly visible. You go step by step, apply the logic, you will be able to make sure that this game works for you also. So if you have liked this, if you understood the logic, while I explained it, it took almost half an hour. While I was making this game, it took me, I think, couple of hours more, because I had to research syntax, logic, loop, everything. So it took good amount of time for me to develop this one. So hopefully it helps you. And using these games, we can easily learn Python and all the concepts of that. So great, thanks for watching till here. And I'm sure if you have watched till here, you are going to hit the subscribe button for further learning. And don't miss to like. If you have learned something, don't miss to like. Bye, take care.